Premium is not a price point. It's not. It's not a price point. It's a standard. And if we want to be a mediocre company, then let's just decide to be a mediocre company. Because I would rather say we're mediocre and deliver mediocre than say we're premium and not deliver that.
Chad Peterman here, and you are listening to Can't Stop the Growth, a platform for leaders and teams to grow and thrive. We highlight the importance of personal development, pursuing greatness, and always chasing your potential. Let's get into it.
I hesitate to bring this up because when I spoke with the plumbers and the plumbing install and electrical install on Friday, I think that this topic can be a little bit controversial in terms of like how it's framed, but I think it's fair to like tell everybody in here, like what have we been what have we been talking about? And I feel like the message that we have with the field and how we generate revenue and how we fulfill revenue is very important as leaders because, we reinforce whatever that message is. And so the message that we said at town hall over a week ago, and then I reiterated the following Friday to installers is, we talked about going on a first date. And I asked them to think about, like, what was that like? And some of us in the room have gone on our last first date, which is great. We've had some awesome marriages, some lessons learned from marriages, as I see some smirks and some smiles. But we all remember what that first and some celebrations. We all remember what that like first date was like, right? And like the intentionality that you put in and the representation that you brought of yourself, because that's what you were thinking about, right? You were thinking about an impression that you were making. And so you took a little bit extra time getting ready. You made sure that you picked your words probably a little bit more, I would hope so, a little bit more carefully than you otherwise would have, right? You opened the door, you were on your best behavior, you did all these things. And, I talked about like, well, what would happen if you would have said you were the catch of a lifetime and you showed up in sweatpants, disheveled, late, all those things. And what we were really talking about is this idea of like premium, that we talk about premium price, we talk about premium marketing, and we talk about all these things that demonstrate to a customer that we're a premium company, and that if we show up and do anything in any way, shape, or form that doesn't align with premium, then we've completely disrupted that trust because we've confused the customer. If the price is premium, if the wrap on the truck is premium, if the marketing is premium, if the outreach and communication was premium, if the conversation with the customer service representative was premium, if all these things were premium, and then they show up and didn't care about the way they looked, their uniform, the quality of work that they provided, then who are we really, right? We have like a misalignment, and what I termed it as is like a business identity crisis, right? We're saying we are one thing and then we're not upholding that thing. And so, the messaging was really like, hey, like, we're not just another like HVAC or plumbing or electrical company. We're this company. We're Peterman Brothers. And that tone change, like it really charges what we do because we deliver something that's worth paying for. Right? It's a quality of service. It's a quality of work. It's a quality of fulfillment. It's a quality of protection. It's a quality of guarantee of the work. And so that means like, we're not just fixing stuff, right? We're protecting homes. We're giving people a peace of mind. So we had like a similar conversation with installers, right? And I was talking about the pressure of being an install because it's like one thing that you do can disrupt that entire chain of that experience. It's like if an install crew is going in, one thing, like the pressure, can you imagine it? It's like one thing can disrupt and create that misalignment. And so I was thinking about the conversations with the field professionals. I was thinking about the conversations with the installers, and I was like, man, well, what does that mean for leadership? If we're not seeking to be premium in the way that we lead our teams, then everything is a complete lie, and we're hypocrites. Like if we're demanding that the field uphold a reputation of premium, and we don't do it ourselves in the way that we lead, the way that we manage, the way that we treat one another, the way that we interact, then we're just as guilty of not preserving that identity. And I think as leaders, we are responsible for the consistency between the company's promise and the team's delivery, right? The company's promise of premium and how the team delivers that. Like that is something that that's an identity that we have to own. And so I'm going to probably be pretty candid, which is not necessarily a diversion from the typical, but I think about, like, we've had conversations before during this talk about things that deride and break down culture, right? And one of the things that I know I've talked about before is gossip. And I am displeased to announce that it continues to this day. It still happens. It happens in our admin staff. It happens amongst our leaders. It happens amongst our managers. We still have a problem, I think, where it's twofold. I think it's blame culture, right? It's blame culture. And what is the byproduct of blame culture? It's gossip. And so I think, like, the first piece of what I want to talk about today is, if you have anything, wow, it's like I'm bringing up my mom again. Like, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything nice at all. Well, we all know that that's not the answer. Like, feedback is important, and feedback is hard. And when we have feedback, we should share feedback, right? And sometimes feedback can be interpreted as not nice, but we all know that that's not true. But if you find yourself talking about another person that you work with that is a colleague in a negative way, that's called gossip. If you're saying this to someone else or about them, then you still have not had the conversation with them directly to give them the feedback. So you've been avoiding accountability, because remember what we said the other week, which is you're choosing your own comfort over the team and the company's success. And when I think about premium and the pressure for a field professional to go into a stranger's home and deliver solutions to them, and for an install crew to come behind and fulfill on that promise and deliver on that promise, for us to not do anything else but manifest everything that is premium is a disservice to them, right? Aside from the walk over from HQ, those of us that are walking from the HQ building, that's about as inconvenient and burdensome as our day is going to get today. Right? That's about as inconvenient and burdensome as our day is going to get today, compared to the hundreds of people that are going to run over 500 calls today and do over 20 installs, HVAC alone, not including plumbing and electrical, unless that municipality is shutting you down because it rained outside. And so to me, it's like we are the brand custodians. That's how I would think about it. Like, leadership at every single level is about alignment, and we are the brand custodians, right? And what we talked about is two things recently. We talked about what you expect, you must inspect, right? If you expect something to happen, you have to inspect to ensure that it's happening. We also said what you permit, you promote, right? And I think some of the things we talked about is, if you walk past a sloppy truck, you signal mediocrity. Versus if you take the time to coach someone through a difficult call with a customer, right, you're enforcing what premium care looks like, right? When you celebrate with your install team quality, and you celebrate the communication with the customer and everything that's premium, then you model what premium service is, right? And so it's like the obligation, and I would say really the responsibility that we have as leaders, is just as important in preserving what premium looks like as is the demand that we have for the field to deliver premium. right? If we're rude, if we're condescending, if we gossip, if we talk shit, like that's not premium. It's just not. And I think it's just wildly unfair that we get to back our own personal compensation with the idea that people go into the field and deliver premium, and we're not. Collectively, I think we do a lot of premium things as a leadership group, but we all know if one piece of that puzzle is out of alignment, then that's just as confusing to the field as it is when it is to a customer when a field professional doesn't uphold the status of premium. So think about the course of your day, right? And think about the interactions that we have. And it's not just with the people that we manage. It's the interactions that we have, because we have to remember that this is an interdependent ecosystem. Every single piece and element and department and team is dependent upon the success and the preservation of premium service, internal premium service. And again, when we don't see that, when we see anything short of premium being demonstrated in this organization, whether we're at a branch in Elkhart, Indiana, on the Michigan border, or we're in Indianapolis or Columbus, Ohio, it is our obligation as leaders to call that out. Because otherwise, what's the point? It's just all for show. We're just making shit up to tell the field, to tell customers, to justify a price point. We have to live premium every single day. And again, we are responsible for the consistency between the company's promise and our team's delivery of what that looks like. So it's what does that look like for you? We know what we expect the field to, how we expect them to demonstrate premium. We know it. They know it. But what does it look like for you? What does that look like? And ask yourself, is what you're doing and what you're saying and what you're thinking and how you're feeling, is that aligned with a premium identity? Because I think that's been one of the things that's been shocking for me when I kind of reflected on this, is inconsistency is expensive. Think about that. Inconsistency is expensive. It costs us trust, it costs us loyalty, and it costs us opportunity. And so at the end of the day, people aren't going to you don't just copy a mission statement. People don't live our mission statement, right? That's not what their experience with our brand is and what we deliver. Their experience is what they copy, what people internally will copy is what we as leaders tolerate and what we celebrate. So if we tolerate mediocrity, you're sending the message of mediocrity. If you don't celebrate, then you're signaling to your team that your achievements aren't important. Or maybe that the only things that are important, and this is something that they think from time to time, trust me, because I have to read the feedback, is that revenue is the only thing that's important. Not my growth, not my development, not me as a person, not my family, not my responsibilities, not my obligations, not my goals. It's revenue. And that hurts. Right? That hurts. Because I would love to believe, and I have to believe, otherwise I don't think I would be at a place that provides service, right? A service, skilled labor as a service. If we weren't a part of something bigger, right? If we weren't a part, if we don't truly believe that we want to create better, stronger, safer communities and deliver upon them a high quality service and a high quality level of work and make our brand attached to that, then like, what's the point? Otherwise, to me, you're just showing up and collecting a paycheck and this is a job. And no offense, but like, I don't want to live my life that way. I don't want to live my professional life that way. And quite frankly, I don't want to work with people if that's what they want. So ask yourself, like, are you in a job or are you in a career? Because I bet you that you have some people on your team that are in a job. And I would argue that's because they haven't been motivated yet. They haven't been explored yet. They haven't had the conversations yet to figure out what is their why. Why do they do this work? And it hasn't been connected to something that's bigger than themselves, because I bet you they have plenty of whys. And it's our job to figure out what those whys are and connect it to the work that they do. But I'll tell you right now, like, they know. It's part of the reason I quit being a principal, is because I knew I was unhappy. And you know who knows that you're unhappy first? Kids. They know. And your teams know too. And I'm not just talking about unhappiness. I'm talking about like when you're doing things that don't align with what we're asking them to do as it pertains to providing and delivering upon the promise of premium service, then they call BS. They know. They know first. We have an incredible team. We really do. We have an incredible team. We have people in 3 different states, and we're running calls in 4. I experienced that in Michigan yesterday. It was great, across the border. We have an incredible team. But I think the point that I'm trying to get today, and some of you might be like, man, he's being hard. He's being harsh. And I think the point I'm trying to say is like, it's the same, a brand and a reputation is the same thing. And I'm not asking for perfectionism. We all, as the recovering perfectionists, that's not what I'm asking for. When we mess up, we own it. We learn, we grow, we acknowledge it, right? We do have an incredible team, but you have to remember that if we like, premium is not, it's not a title. We don't just get to say it. Oh, we're premium. Because that's what our field professionals, you know that, right? That's what they do. We're a premium home service provider. And I think sometimes even they're confused because they experience things that aren't premium, and they've probably done things themselves that aren't premium. But it's not a title. We don't just get to come out and say we're premium. Right? It's not a title we claim, it's an identity that we have to earn. And I think the beautiful thing and the struggle about an identity is you have to earn it over and over and over again. So I don't think he knows he's my mentor, but he's my mentor. Brandon at Morris Jenkins down in Charlotte, North Carolina. He had this thing when I was walking around his office that he kept calling Groundhog's Day. And I was like, yeah, just another day, Groundhog's Day, baby. Like to his teams. And I was like, that's awful. Like, that sounds boring. And then I reflected on my drive home, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, boring is the goal. Which that's going to sound really backward and contradictory and messed up. But that is, right? It's like getting to a place where you're just performing. And that becomes boring because that's the standard of excellence that you've set. There is no drama. There is no technician that's threatening to leave the company and holding you accountable and throwing out a dollar amount because we haven't met with them. That doesn't happen anymore because we meet with them regularly and we don't have to be reactive. It gets boring because people are happy and they're performing. Now, don't get me wrong. We're still going to have stuff that we're going to have to figure out, and it's going to keep things from being boring. But isn't that kind of the goal, is to get to a place where like 95% of what we do is boring? Think about that. Because you know what's not boring? Gossip. It's currency. Gossip's fun. It's exciting. But gossip derides identity. And so if we're telling people that have to go and get rained on in cold rain all day at strangers' homes, you need to be premium. You need to look premium. You need to talk premium. You need to deliver premium service. You need to do premium work. And then we do anything but short of that, then that's a business identity crisis. Every call we run, every visit we make is no different than every one-on-one you conduct and every interaction you have. It is an opportunity that adds a brushstroke, not the brushstroke, a brushstroke. It's a brushstroke of the picture of what our identity is. Think about that. Every interaction that you have is a brushstroke that paints the picture of what our identity is. And you can either mess up that picture and make it look like my 2-year-old niece drew it. Nothing against Vera, she's great. Well, I mean, there's 16 of them, so I mean, who's who? Every interaction you have is a brushstroke, no matter what, to that picture. And whether you're painting in the lines or outside of the lines, wow, I did not expect I was going to make an above and below the line connection today. But if you're painting outside the lines, you're below the lines, and that is breaking down our identity. And again, I don't think we have some rampant negative culture. I think we have a great culture. But again, when it comes to reputation and it comes to identity, how we establish ourselves in the market, when people think Peterman Brothers, how do you get the people that say they're expensive, but they're really good, right? How do you get those people online with they have great people and they provide premium service? And price isn't even talked about because it's just an expectation of what I'm willing to pay for. Price and value are not the same thing. It's the expectation that I'm willing to pay for, to experience that, to see it, to hear it, and to feel it, right? And so if we want to preserve, not even preserve, because I don't think that we holistically in all of our markets have it yet. If we want to establish a premium identity, then it starts with us. It can't just be lip service to the field to be premium. No, we have to be premium first. So I would challenge you, like when you leave today, is to think about what are my interactions like and are they premium? Right? When people experience your leadership, does it feel premium? Do they feel like I'm having a conversation with the best of managers? Because if we say we're a premium company and then our leadership does not look it, it doesn't sound it, it doesn't feel it, and every single conversation and every standard we uphold and every choice that we make, then we'll never be premium. There's no identity to preserve. There's no expectation to be met, right? Because at the end of the day, it's a promise, right? It's a promise that we're making to customers. It's a promise that when we say we are something, we are that thing and we become that thing. If we're not wholly that thing yet, that's what we're striving toward. You know, we spent 5 weeks talking about the 5 dysfunctions of a team, right? And I think there's so many parallels that you can make to the 5 dysfunctions of a team. Every single one of those dysfunctions that we spent 5 weeks talking about, if left unchecked, that is what I would say threatens our ability to maintain, to preserve, to protect a premium identity. Premium is not a price point. It's not. It's not a price point. It's a standard. And if we want to be a mediocre company, then let's just decide to be a mediocre company. Because I would rather say we're mediocre and deliver mediocre than say we're premium and not deliver that. I think we're doing something that is incredibly unique with how we've grown this company. And with that, I think that the stakes are even higher. The expectations are even greater. The standard has been lifted. Because if you're going to do something that no one else has done before, you're going to have to be willing to do things that no one else has done before. And I think it's our attitude and our mindset, and how we show up every single day. If we say we're premium, then our leadership has to look premium, sound premium, and feel premium. And how we coach and how we hold people accountable, and ultimately, the most important of all, is how we care for our people.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to connect with me personally, you can find me at chadmpeterman.com. To see what our team's up to, you can visit petermanbros.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel and consider joining the CSTG arena. As always, keep growing out there.